Let's meet the finalists. This is my first interview for the 20th anniversary of the Peachtree Village International Film Festival that's coming up. So, yay!
Absolutely. Good stuff.
I am so happy to have an opportunity to chat with you all. So let's jump right in. So we're having a conversation with Patty Kim Gill, who is an award-winning producer. You know, she's also the founder of Gill Talent Group, but has moved on to producing full-time. So that is exciting. Also, we have a conversation here with Brittany S. Hall, executive producer and the lead actress on this project. That's exciting. Double duty is always a wonderful and exciting thing, and difficult I can imagine. And Victor V. Hogan, VVH. I like those initials. I don't think I've ever come across those. He is an Emmy Award-winning producer. He's an executive producer on this project and the director, but he's also the CCO and co-founder of QVH. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty, so we're here to talk about the film, the exciting film, Always, Most of the Time. So let's jump right in. And talk about the film. First, I'm really interested in where the title came from. Always, comma, most of the time. So someone share with me where that came from.
I got you. Well, first, when I read the script, which was written by my best friend, Alan Brooks, we have a long, really 30 years plus. He presented it to me. It was initially had another title. I can't remember what it was, but it didn't work for me. So basically, that there's a line in the film. We have a shaman in this film when she meets Delilah, the lead character, and she gives her this magical stone, allows her to time travel, and Delilah's looking for a solution. When she gives it to her, she says, "You know, this works. Or it always works." But she says, "Well, at least most of the time." So that right there embodied this, and it took us on the journey of Delilah, of her trying to find the solution for her problem in this film. So I mean, it was basically it was a line in the film that embodied this journey that Delilah went on, this beautiful journey she went on of self-discovery.
I love that. I love that. So, Patty, when you first heard the title, Always, Most of the Time, what was your first thought? What were you thinking?
I had no idea until I read the script, and I thought it was so dope because first of all, it was they were all men, right? I already knew Victor's work from editing, right? He's the man with editing, so I already knew that, and he was seasoned and I met his partners, Michael and Kyle, at the ABFF. And I knew there was I love that they were corporate creatives
Mm.
because that's something that you don't typically, that's what's missing a lot of times with artists, right? Is the business mind of it. So I was really excited about working with them. And so when I read the script, I just thought it was interesting because it was like a kind of like a male perspective where the woman had to take ownership. You just don't see that. You don't see that combination of a woman having to take accountability of her issues. And I'm not saying we always like to blame the man. I mean, the men be messing up, you know what I mean? So, but for the
Always,
woman
most of the
to have
time.
always most of the
Oh,
time,
most of the
right?
time.
And so, but at the end of the day, we're all human, right? We all mess up, no matter the gender. And so I thought it was beautiful for the woman to be able to take not only accountability, but to even start her road to healing
Mm.
with that.
Yeah.
So I was
Mm.
excited about it. I think, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, what Victor, I don't think we shared this much because I was this, I love Alan. That's the one who wrote the film, his best friend. And I love Alan because he is and let me say this, he writes comic strips.
Graphic novel. Yeah, he's a graphic novelist. He's at the professor who teaches a master's program on graphic novels. So he is a writer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right. So graphic novels. And this was originally
a graphic novel.
a graphic novel. Meaning this is like is a comic strip, is that like derogatory? Is that a proper
I mean,
way?
it's not. I mean, it's the same. He could speak more on that, but it's basically the same thing. But it's defined as a graphic novel. He's a graphic novelist, and I guess it translates. Yeah,
Oh, so that's even more. I was so more enamored with that that
Yeah.
he flipped this graphic novel into a screenplay,
yeah,
and the way Victor had a vision to like put that on the screen the way he did. Like that's a challenging feat
Love it. I love
yeah,
it. I
that
love it.
that he did very well.
yeah.
Yes, yes. Miss Brittany, same question. When you saw the title of the project, what first came to mind?
I didn't have any thoughts. I actually, well, I did have one thought. I liked it. Like I was intrigued, but
Hmm.
not thoughts on like what the story would be about.
Okay.
It's a very inconspicuous kind of title. So I was like, I wonder what this is about. And then as soon as I read the script, I was like, oh, absolutely. Because as an actor, I love flawed characters.
Yeah.
It gives me more work to do with the character and with myself. It's like a mirror sometimes. And I feel like this was a story I resonated with, especially like going from 20s into my 30s and looking back and realizing mistakes I made in relationships and relationships with like platonic relationships, just things, you know. So just being able to like be like, well, how do I resonate with this was a really strong question I asked myself because she's such a flawed character. And so it was a beautiful journey for me just like dissecting the story
Yeah.
and reading it and being like, ooh, this hits, you know? So but the title doesn't really give that away that you're
Right.
going to be hit with this kind of story, which I love. And I love the fact that it still makes sense in the end. Like the
Mhm.
title absolutely makes sense because we're always trying to do our best, but most of the time we might be falling short or
Right.
most of the
Right.
time we're just doing the best we can, even
Right.
though we always want to be in the right place. So it just how the wording of the title works in so many ways.
Yeah, I was telling, thank you for that, all of you. I was sharing with Victor and Patty before we got started that when I first started reading the description of what the film was going to be, the first thing that jumped into my mind was like, oh, it's like, the butterfly effect. You go back and you start changing stuff. And then of course it changes the outcome of the future and things like that. But as I continued to read and then I watched the trailer and I was like, how? Yeah, so it's not that at all. So I
Right.
love that. I love that. And Patty, as you were mentioning, the whole idea about us, fixing ourselves, both of you, Brittany and Patty, fixing ourselves in that healing journey and things like that. And we don't often either take accountability or even look into the fact that what went wrong had something to do with us. We're always looking at, well, if he had done this differently or if they had done this differently, depending on, the relationship or whatever. Um, but I think it's really important for us as an audience to experience this story because it helps us look inside and just like, oh, I really do need to check me. I really do need to reevaluate my contributions to the failure of whatever the type of relationship is. So, thank you all for bringing that to light. That's
Yes.
exciting. That's exciting. So, I know this is a project that is near and dear to all of you, but tell me what was the most challenging part of bringing this to life? I know all of you have different contributions, especially Brittany, with you being the executive producer and having that input from that place, and then being the lead actress as well. So tell me each of you tell me what was the most challenging part of bringing this project to life?
Ooh, that's a good question. Out the gate, doing a film period is challenging. I mean, just let's start there.
Okay.
From the concept to execution to delivery. So again, when I first read this script, and it was a graphic novel, and it was based on Alan's as a real life experience he had with someone. It was actually therapeutic for him, and it was his perspective, which I thought was beautifully done on how he was done really wrong in his relationship. And when he told me he had a graphic novel about it, I'm like, okay, how that's it scared me because I'm like, okay, are you gonna attack her? Like, what does that look like? But his
Hmm.
execution of it, the way it was written was beautiful because it was from her perspective. So for me, the challenge was to make sure that that perspective stayed pure and it was not from a bitter place because what we didn't want to do was demonize the black woman in
Mhm.
this. So that was we were very careful in doing that from beginning to end with this. And in that, for me, I wanted to make sure that there were women involved. Ultimately, we had over 40% of the cast and crew of this were women, which I loved. Yeah, and that was very important. And then when I first read it, was who I knew who I wanted to play this lead immediately when I read it, and it was Brittany out the gate because I worked on another film with her. Um, so for me, the first challenge was how do I get Brittany on this? Because I'm like, I needed her on this because I knew that she embodied and I knew she had the skills. Like when people see this film and they see how she took this character and the direction she took and the choices she made, not only on camera but behind camera as an EP producer on this, because she and I spoke extensively on set, back and forth on this to make sure things landed the way they need to land, not just from the character development, but even from a technical aspect. The way I lead as a director is, as a creative, there's a destination, and everybody on the team as a creative, they're here for a reason, and I need their input to get us there, and we move forward. So for me, as a director, the challenge, and I don't even want to call it a challenge, I was tasked with the responsibility of making sure that everybody's voice was heard, and that we put out the best version of the story possible, from the delivery and acting, from as a director, the beauty of it, the direction of it. I edited this on post, making sure that I cut the story correctly. So for me, it was that making sure that what was conveyed from a real life situation came across clear when the product was done. So for me, that was it was the overall duty and task to make sure that was done and all marks were hit, and it was definitely a team effort. That was that for me. So that was not really. I wouldn't call it a challenge. It's not a challenge. It was I was tasked to make sure that happened. Yeah.
What was your greatest task? Okay, so maybe I should have said it that
Yeah.
way. What was
It
the
was just cool.
greatest?
I mean, people have challenges. I mean, raising money, making sure we meet our deadlines because it was a 40-day. Well, if I want to hit a challenge, it was a 40-page script that we had to shoot in 4 days. That's 10 pages a day. That was very challenging. Out the gate because that was a lot. I mean, that was a lot. That was a big challenge. It was getting this done and getting it done accurately because this is not a straightforward story because there's flashbacks, there's time travel, there's flashbacks inside of flashbacks. There's black and white scenes, there are color scenes. The black and white scenes were actually shot in black and white. It
Yeah.
wasn't like shot in color when we made it in black and white. So that was a challenge. So there was all these moving parts if I wanted to label some of the challenges, that would have been my biggest challenge, making sure we executed and delivered that.
I do want to come back to the black and white and color thing in a moment, but I want to
Okay.
allow the ladies to answer the question. So,
Okay.
um, next.
I think that with QVH and because they're all males, I probably and I've worked a few sets, but this is the most pleasant set I would say I've ever worked on. And that says a lot, right? Because they're all males. Although the crew, we did have a lot of women on it, but they were still the lead, right? This is their production company and they set the tone, but I felt very cared for. It was very safe, and you can tell that they were very conscious of how they wanted the woman to feel in the movie as well as the women on set. It wasn't it had a good feeling because they're all fathers, they're all husbands, they're all sons, they're brothers, and you could feel that. You know what I mean? You felt that they were taking good care of us. So, let me see.
I love that.
And so I think that the biggest challenge probably would be it was such a complex story that we had to tell in such a short period of time.
Hmm.
That was probably the most difficult thing. But I even noticed with Brittany, and she would say, okay, so if I'm going to be in this future, then I should change my nail. She contributed a lot artistically to make sure that we were on point. as far as, because that was probably one of the biggest challenges, is just to make sure that we were consistent, right?
Yes, yes.
With, okay, I'm not going to have locks here. I'm going to have this. Okay, if this is Thursday, 3 years ago, I need to have maybe pink nails rather than, all those little details
Details
she was
matter.
very aware of. So everyone was pouring pouring their heart into it and doing it. I mean, this is like $100,000 movie.
Mm,
You feel like you watched a feature film by the time you finish watching
wow.
this,
Yeah. I mean,
right? With
even
all the
the,
layers and
yeah,
nuances.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I'm just excited and grateful to be a part of it. But no real challenges because it was such a pleasant set. Everyone wanted this film to be completed and done the way we see the result of it is. So, no real big challenges. I mean, when you have people that's on set that want to be there
hmm.
and you have a great film like this, there are really no challenges because everyone is looking for a solution,
I love that.
right?
Yes. All right, ma'am.
So for me, it was a challenge to I was very working very closely with the scripty. Because like they said, like the remembering, oh, you're in the past, in the flashback, in the future. I had to work very closely with our script supervisor to be like, hey, where am I coming from? Where am I going? What scene is this? Because like Patty brought up, I made a decision that the character in the past she was very polished and she had her nails done, and but as things got more troubled for her, she just kind of lost the upkeep of taking care of herself, so her nails weren't done. And so like those little details, and then so there were scenes where I have to remember, oh, I need to put my press-ons on right now, you know? So things like that. Also, it wasn't really a challenge in a way where it was like a struggling challenge, more so a challenge where you need to find a solution, like Patty said. And so another challenge for me was like, how do I get people to fall in love with this character while also showing how flawed she is?
Mm,
So how do I humanize her? How do I make them empathize with her? How do I show her in a way where she doesn't realize she's doing wrong, but she's doing wrong. And then she realizes she's doing wrong and she wants to do better. So humanizing her in a way where the audience wouldn't hate her. They would just see her as like this human making choices, and some of those choices just weren't right.
mm.
And she was making those choices to protect herself from her own trauma. That was how like a puzzle piece in um, figuring out her emotions and my expression to really convey that.
There were a lot of, I guess I would imagine a huge load on you, Brittany, doing this character. I would imagine because you are narrating, you're telling the story, your thoughts. So you're thinking, but you're speaking something else. And to be able to relay um, the accurate thoughts to, to coincide with either what you're thinking or what you're saying, and then keeping that all straight. And I know like the voiceovers come after, but even while you're delivering your lines, most of us, when we're doing a movie, we have lines that we focus on, and that's that. But there's also those thoughts that you have
Mhm.
to remember when you're delivering these lines. And so, I mean, so big applause to you for being able to bring that to life and make it real. And I think it's another way that's going to draw the audience into this character and help us love you, help us
Mm.
love the character because you were able to do that. So, thank you, Victor, for saying, I have to have Brittany
Thank
because
you.
I think it's, and not to, say other actresses couldn't do it, but watching the trailer, I believe that I connected with you in just those few moments of being able to watch that and, anticipating what I'm going to see with the film. So I am excited about that. So
Thank
we
you.
brought up the black and white and the color thing, Victor. Now, for me, when I was watching it, and then the explanation for me, I would think color would be the here and the now. So tell me why that reversal happened and why you all decided to do it the way you did it.
You're right because the initial people most times will be the color would be present and yeah, black and white clearly is the past, right? No. Um, My DP on this, Rafa, I got to shout him out real quick. This guy is a monster behind the camera. I worked with him on future projects as well. Matter of fact, Brittany, that's what the project I met Brittany on, was with Rafa. Um, but he's in LA. I'm here in Atlanta. So leading up to the film, we were on Zooms every day, for 5 days, 5, 6, 7 days, breaking the script down. And we came across this whole thing of, because there's so many moving parts, how do we how do we make sure stuff is clear cut? So we did things like black and white. I'll explain that in a second. Aspect ratio. If you notice that happens throughout it changes throughout the film as well. And to make sure that in the cut and the way I cut it, everything makes sense. The reason why we chose black and white for present, because in the present, Brittany kind of alluded to this, she let herself go. She was empty. She was broken. She was void of love. She thought she knew who she was, but she was very much so broke. She was empty. So that black and white was the emptiness. Um, it's a brokenness. It's absence of real love, true love, which is love of self. And when we went back to the past, that color was still there. She was in the process of losing it. She didn't know. But to Brittany's point, like she was polished back then, everything like she had her life together back then. Love was still there back then. So that's why when we go back to black and white, that's when the color happens. And I don't want to give away this movie. There's things that I just can't give away,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah.
flip that on his head at the end, and for a reason we do that. Um, but and again, I'm going to be very careful not to give it away. But it becomes very clear if the audience is paying attention. They're like, oh.
Mhm.
Oh, I see why that happened, or why the color in black and white, like how it played in to it. But that's the short answer. She's broken. She's empty. There's nothing that she's void in the present. And if you as you follow her journey, that'll clearly come across.
Yeah.
Uh, the conversations she's having in her head, her trying to get this man back, her going back in the past and just not making it right, and because she's missing the mark. I mean, she's focused on the wrong thing. She's not focused on herself. She's broken. Um,
Gotcha.
that's
Okay, thank
basically what
you
it
for that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Patty, so speaking of the man in her life, how did you all decide on who the leading male would be?
Well, we came down to two actors, and I know Benton is who was responsible for bringing in Patrick. And I wasn't real familiar with Patrick's work, but then when I called Brittany, and she was like, "That's my boy. I would love to." I was like, "Oh, well, that kind of like,
Yeah.
because of that scene, we know they needed to have chemistry.
Right.
So knowing that they already had history as far as like that, I don't think they've ever worked together. This is the first time you guys worked together, right? Oh, this is the second time you guys worked together. Okay, but you guys had history, so that alone, I think that's what gave Victor the green light to say, oh well, then because he already liked him as an actor, so there's
Okay.
a relationship on screen, so that was like a go. And the
Good.
fact that he was available, he was so accommodating because he was actually working another project
Hmm.
while he was working this. So it was like everyone just put their all into this film.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think it's going to be great. Now, there is another thing that I love, I like the title and I love the title, but when I was looking, there's a lot of BTS stuff. And then, people talk about how the film came to be, but the anatomy of always most of the wording right there. I was like, oh, what is this? Let us see, right? So I love that. I haven't heard it put that way, but it doesn't give away the entire story, but it does let us into so much. Which, like I was saying, Brittany, is even after the trailer that I was drawn to your character, I was kind of connected to her. After watching the anatomy of, it made me feel like, oh, I know this, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And helping the viewers get an idea of how things are working. All of that is so interesting. So the anatomy of how did you come up with that?
That's something. I mean, one to your point, because the film was such a, I think it was just a beautiful film across the board, and so it was so many moving parts. I was talking to again Alan about this, and I'm gonna start like a little small series, something short, short episodes to put out there to to break this film down because this film there's it's so layered.
Mhm.
You watch it one time through, you're like, okay, I love that. It was great. But you watch it through a second time, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't catch it the first time. And the symbolism throughout this whole thing that people will miss, but they feel it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me break down the anatomy of this film for the viewer. First, being the DP, then my choice of black and white. Then I'm like, bringing Brittany in because an executive producer how she handled this character. Next, it'd be the writer. Then we're gonna break down. Like I'm gonna go down the moving parts of this entire film, so that people like you will appreciate the film even more because they're like, okay, now I see even more with it. Like I liked it the first time,
Yeah.
but now I really appreciate the thought that went into this and the intent of every frame in this film, and it kind of breaks it down to your point without giving it away. And I think it'll give filmmakers an appreciation for what was done, but also just the general audience. They're like, oh, that's great because we love watching great BTS stuff of our favorite series of favorite movies.
Right.
And I'm gonna say that this is gonna be people's favorite movie, and I'm gonna put that out there, and it'll be something that they want to see
Hey.
the behind the scenes on. So yeah,
Put it into the universe, darling. Into the
absolutely,
universe.
absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Patty, have you've seen the anatomy of how
Yes.
how did that hit you?
Well, I just every time he does something, I'm like, Victor's an editor, and so that's like we were so blessed to be on his directorial debut, but he can't help it. Like he's always creating another version
Yeah,
of the film. Like he can't help, and it's like we're being blessed because of it, because of this skill set that he has,
Hmm.
and so he keeps letting us see it in a different lens
Yeah.
because I was present, but I'm watching the movie. Like every time I've seen it on screen, I'm like, why did this hit different? Like we just saw the last
yeah,
screening at Bronze Lens. Why did I feel different? Like that was my first time watching it. I was like, I know what's happening. Like I don't know why I appreciated it so much more at that time, but it's like every time it's exactly what Victor is saying. Like every time you see it, you feel like you're watching a different movie because you've already grasped one part of it, then you kind
Right.
of grab another part the next time you watch it. So,
Yeah. And that's me. I love the films that I really like. I go back and watch, of course, and I do discover new things. I'm like, I didn't, you know what? Now that I listen to how they're saying it, I get it. I didn't get that the first time. I didn't get that the first time. Brittany, what are you most excited for people to see in this film?
Um, like as just the film itself,
Yeah.
uh, themselves.
yeah,
Like I really am. I feel like people will see themselves in some part of the
Yeah.
film,
Yeah.
and that is what I think is most impactful about films is like how we see ourselves in the story. Um, I when I think of this film, I think of it in a way of like even if a person is like a flawed individual, it won't scare them away from the healing, you
Mm,
know? And I feel like this is one of those films where it's like, you watch a lot of films where you're like, whew, I would never want that to be me. But this film, if people were to watch it and they were on that journey for themselves, they would be more inspired to, or even find the answer for themselves to be like, oh, that's what I needed, or that's how I needed to see myself, or that's how I feel, so I'm not alone.
yeah.
Those type of thing. I want people to see like just themselves.
I love it. I love it. Uh, Victor, what are you most excited for people to see?
Um, she said themselves, for me, it's for them to see, as a creative, we want people to see us.
Mm,
Like, so our work is who we are. So
yeah.
there's some people to see my heart. And I think they'll feel it. And I think that's what comes across. I think that's what makes this unique because I think every film is unique because of the person or the people creating it.
Mhm.
And for me, I want people to see me. And when we talk about, creatively speaking, and even in the characters, because I think if you lived any amount of time, if you've been in a relationship, you've been on either side of this situation with Delilah and Nathan in this film. Sometimes it's the man who's the one who's Delilah, sometimes it's the woman. You just don't know what just happened to this one. It just happened to be the man. But for me, just the execution of this thing and the beauty of it, of the film, to Patty's point, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 something years. I've touched on every area of filmmaking. Editing is something that I really, really dug into because for me, the edit is where a film is made, and you can't hide in the edit suite. So as a director, I see the cuts in real time. I know exactly what needs to happen in real time. So I'm able to approach the behind the camera very differently. So a lot of times people don't realize when you're shooting film, everything is shot for the edit. Everything is shot for the edit.
Yeah.
So my approach was that. And I want people to be able to see, wow, he really he saw the story. He handled it with care. He delivered this visual, beautiful, emotional piece
Mhm.
that actually healed me. For me, it's like I wanted to heal people. So for me, this is more than just a display of here's what I can do. It's I really and this is it sounds like a cliche, but this is as a creative, I feel deeply, and I want my art to mean something. You know what I mean? Like so, I want every film I do to mean something. And this one means something. And this is why I love the team we had, which is why like and I'm like I can't stress this enough, which is why I wanted Brittany because I actually saw her on set live and in a project I was part of, and my first time seeing her, and I was like, whoa, I need her on whatever I do next. I didn't even have this film yet, but when I read it, I'm like, I need somebody who can handle this project
Yeah.
with care emotionally because I know I'll deliver emotionally with score, with the cut, with all of that. But if the person doesn't deliver this character correctly, then what is this film? What we like? It's a pretty film and nothing else. So I want people to see that. I want people to feel that healing, to feel the love, to go on this journey, and to see me as a creative.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pose that same question to you, Miss Patty.
What was the question? I'm sorry. I thought I answered it.
What are you most excited for
Oh,
everyone to
oh,
see?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna just mimic exactly what both of them said. I think that it's the road to self-healing, and it's easy. It's so much easier to point at someone else,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much, but you don't, no one wants to be a villain in their own story, right? And so the way Brittany depicted herself, she wasn't a villain, right? She was a survivor that finally was able to put her guards down. And so I think that's beautiful. And everyone has a story, right? So hopefully, when they see this, it will give them a permission to forgive themselves in whatever the situation was.
Love it. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. So we talked, you mentioned the Bronze Fest. So how many festivals have you all been a part of thus far with this project?
We're coming up on, we just got accepted, so we're at six and counting right now. And we got a few more notifications that should be coming in a couple of days that we're anticipating
Yeah.
acceptance to. But the ones here at home, like Peachy, like this is a big one because one, you guys have been around for a minute. So there
Mhm.
was a personal tie to this film festival as well. And it's always great to be home with the people here in Georgia doing this thing. But yeah, we have a six and counting. So we're here in Georgia. We did one in Miami. We're out west, Los Angeles as well. We're also in Houston coming up as well. So we're just trying to hit every area. We have a couple international ones that we're waiting to hear back from that we're pretty sure we're getting into. One I know we're definitely getting into. We can't announce yet. So we're doing this festival tour, and people the audiences in particular are really accepting this film in a way that I'm just excited about. People are loving this.
Yeah. What feedback have you received during the film festivals when you're out there that really stuck with you? Something that made you just fill up and say, oh my gosh, what personal feedback for each of you, as you've had your conversations during the festivals, did you receive? What's the one thing that stuck with you from someone?
I would say for me, I've gotten like calls. I know Victor did a screening, um, and I got a call from a producer that I worked with on quite a few projects, so he's familiar with my work. But on this particular call, he was just saying how he's never seen me in um that kind of light with that work and how it really touched him and how much he enjoyed the film. And at Bronze Lens, I had like two or three people walk up to me like I was in tears or I was on the verge of tears at the end. Like I was trying to process the emotions. So um, for me, it's how people feel from it, like something very strongly that connects and speaks to them personally. And then also like the people who are familiar with my work, but haven't seen me in this type of lane with this type of work where
Mhm.
I'm able to showcase like just the range of an actor as myself, you know? So that's touched me in a lot of ways because I've been waiting for this kind of work for a long time. Been in this industry for like 11 years. Finding very meaty, you use the term meaty work,
Yeah.
where you have to stretch yourself as an artist in different ways.
Right.
Doesn't come by often, especially when it's so collaborative.
Mhm.
And this was such a very collaborative process. So for me, it's like when people come and they come to me and say, I felt, ooh, I felt. I'm like, okay, because I felt it too. I didn't want to think it was just me. I'm not trying to be biased, but I know you feel something, you know? So it's that.
That's fantastic. What
Yeah.
about you, Victor?
Um, Something I've been getting consistently is I want more. Like, man, what happened? I need to see more of this. I need to see more of this. And they walk away. Some of them are like, this film was absolutely beautiful. Something that we get. I was not expecting that. Um, this journey was something. I mean, just the ending, the way it flowed, and one of the biggest things I'm real big on when I'm watching the film. Let me figure out how this ends. And like halfway through, I'm like, okay, I can figure out how it ends. They're like, I didn't see that coming. People
Oh,
saying I didn't see that coming, and I'm like, that was a big thing with me. It was um, having this sixth sense moment where like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. That I mean, the people really, really, and the questions like usually when you have talkbacks, you have to pull the audience that's plugged in to ask questions. We're like people are like hands are going up. They have questions. They have comments about the film. They talk about the scores is beautiful. They talk about the execution, the journey. Like I mean, tell me more about the black and white. Like people are asking questions, and they're like, okay, what's the next? Do we get to see more of this? Is it going to be a series? Is it will we extend it to a feature? So stuff like that has been making me feel really, really good because when people love a film, they want more of it. If
yeah.
they're there just because they're being polite, they're like, "Oh, that was a great film," and they don't want to say anything bad and they keep it moving. But everybody has always been very intentional about specifically what they loved about it and wanted to see more of this particular film.
And that's a huge compliment.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
that in itself, um, being a part of the film, I would imagine would make you feel like, yes, they get it. I've done it. Or, I think I have arrived.
Yeah.
When people get it and they want more, that
That was
always is a huge compliment. What about you, Patty?
Well, it's exactly what Victor said. I was surprised at how they were it was a question. It's a very small part. It's like a flashback, and I know I can't give the movie away, and it's played by an actor, KB Holland. But they were asking about him, like, can we see more of that backstory? They wanted to know about all the characters. They wanted to know, well, can we see a little bit more of this, and So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like they want to know. They want to see a full-fledged, whether it's a series, and I did
Yeah.
hear a lot of people say this needs to be a series because it is like everyone has their amont, right? Everyone has their thing that they're trying to figure out, right? Um, so whether it's a full feature or a series, I mean, I think that we definitely have an audience for it because people wanted more of it.
Yes, that is fantastic. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So are all of you going to be here? I know Victor, you'll be here for the festival,
yeah,
and then Patty, Brittany, are you
Hmm.
coming in?
I believe so, but yeah, it's the
What's the
second.
exact date? What's the exact
Yeah.
date?
The 18th through the 20th, I believe.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I'll be
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
October
I'm
18th through the
getting,
20th.
because there's other festivals and
yeah. I
Yeah.
was
some are super
Yeah.
close, and I had to pick one. So I was like, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I'll be at this one.
All right.
Okay.
Good. So back to the question, well, not the question, but the comments you all were making about seeing more. After you finish your film festival run, are we gonna get more?
We are currently literally in talks about that right now with actually getting this actual film short, which is, I guess, a mini feature soul, so that it will be out there. But we are in the middle of developing some things for more. I'll put it that way, for a strong probability of a series on this. But yeah, we're looking for more. Yes, we're working on that
Okay.
right now. I'll put it that we are currently working on that now. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just all of this is exciting me, and I haven't even seen the whole thing yet, and I feel like I want more as well.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to branch off a little bit to you all individually. One of the things I thought was interesting when I was checking you out, Brittany. So you're a funny lady. No, just I mean, just that whole thing, the whole comedian thing kind of threw me for a loop. It's like we never know what people have under their hats.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, you mean like my like when I did stand up and things like that? I feel like as a creative, you just find avenues to be creative. I enjoy laughing. I consider myself a pretty funny person. I think I'm pretty witty. So there was a time period when I was living in New York and I was just like, why not do stand up? So I started studying comedians and realized there's actually a formula to stand up comedy. And once I discovered the formula, I put my own into it and was doing stand up. Now I'm working more on like comedies and film. So I did my own short. That's a comedy that I wrote. It's called Plant Bay. It's on YouTube. And I just like laughing and I like seeing other people laugh. So being funny is the best way. And the thing about doing stand up is I did enjoy it, but it's one of those like, just like anything else, you got to stay committed to. It wasn't a lane I saw myself committing to for a very long time. So I didn't, stay at it, but it was an enjoyable time.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you decided to move into where you are right now. Because
Yeah.
we wouldn't have the magic of always most of
Yes,
the time.
me too.
So, Patty, we as a award-winning producer, you produced a project, Black Korea,
Mhm.
and that is based on a true story, which is yours. You know, as a creative, telling your story and putting it out there for the world to see. Tell me a little bit about how that felt when, the first time someone viewed the project and maybe even your family responds to that.
Um, as you were asking me that before we started this, I don't know, it just kind of caught on its second wind unintentionally. So now I have a few screenings lined up for that film. But to even connect that to this film, always most of the time, that art is timeless, right? So when you have a really great film and it moves people, it doesn't matter. It transcends, decades. It
Mhm.
can pick right back up. And I see that with this film as well. And so that was a personal film, but this is probably of all the other projects I've done, this is the next project that I feel personal like that, as far as making people feel something. Because I mean, really, to me, that's the only real change.
Mhm.
Art is really the best vehicle for change. Whether it's political, emotional, I feel like the changes and even education, we always see it through art. Like art makes you smart, right? And so I just feel like um with that, it gave my film, my first film, it gave me permission to it was a crash course because I had Christine Swanson, she's a director, who's a dope director, and it was just like a crash course in filmmaking for my first film,
Mhm.
right? And so I feel like the way that was handled with care is the same way this film always most of the time was handled, you
Okay.
know? And so these are the type of projects I want to do. Like some of the other projects, not that I had to do them, but I mean, it was just an opportunity. You just need to build your credit up and you're just building your resume up. But to be able to do a film that you're proud of and you can, not necessarily boast, but you want people to see this film,
Mhm.
that's something you can take with pride, you know. And I can't say I necessarily feel that way about every single project I've been on, but this is one of those films that I feel equally as proud as I did my first feature. I mean, my first short.
Yeah. So as you were talking about art, there's a lot of healing through art too. Art
Absolutely.
you learn through healing, but healing comes through art. So, and then sorry, I'm not into rap music or anything, but art can make you smart. Art can make you
Right.
smart. What? Art can
Those
make
are
you
two
smart.
lines.
I mean,
I
it
mean,
should be a song or something. Okay, so y'all can cut that part out of the interview. I just had a moment. So, Victor, you've done so much. Is there any project any type of project that you haven't produced that you are looking forward to producing in the future?
hmm. Um, that's a good. I mean,
And
I have.
editing.
I've been yeah, I've been part of a lot of different things, and yeah, editing is something I've done a lot of. Directing is something I'm getting back into, which I love because it was a part of my career early on behind the camera. Producing is something I've done along the way with my company. Um, to continue to do stories like this. So basically, universal themes um, that everybody who's human, which is all of us, can relate to. But for us, it's putting someone who's underrepresented at the core of that so that we're seen as human. So humanizing either the black woman, the black man, somebody who's Hispanic, somebody who's gay, lesbian, trans, like whatever that looks like, putting them at the center of these universal themes so that people can start loving again because people hate because they see what's different and then we're divided.
Yeah.
So people kind of step back and realize we're all human, having this human experience. I'm going to continue to do films that are universally relevant to everyone and
Mm,
sticking someone in the center of that who you're not used to seeing there, who's not been represented,
Right.
and make sure that person and everybody that person represents shines, and that we can not be so divided, while making it mainstream. Because as an artist, I understand. I've been doing this for a minute, and early on when I was younger, it was all about the art, the art, the art. I don't, but now it's about, it's art and business. Like it's film, and like people got to see it. We
Right.
have, so if you just do something for yourself, it doesn't make who's it reaching. So we want to make
That's
it
right.
mainstream as well. So I like to bring back to this film something that I wanted to do intentionally with this film was to make it an art house filmed like that was mainstream that everybody can grasp.
Mm.
So a lot of times when people, do films that are so artsy, only filmmakers or, some of them can't get it. Even a director, they'll get it and they'll break it down like, oh, this film was this because of blah, 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 blah. And people are looking like, what are you talking like? You feel stupid because, oh, yeah, it's a beautiful film, but I don't get it. I wanted this film to be that art house feel,
Yeah.
but have a mainstream appeal.
mm.
So that's basically what I want to do moving forward. Like, I mean, and so I'm in a phase of my career. Steve Jobs said, "Oh, I love this quote." He was like, "Musicians play instruments. I play musicians." I'm in a place now where I want to play the musicians because I've done everything. I've done everything from DPing, directing, lighting, editing, motion graphics, score, the whole everything. And now I understand all these pieces. So at this phase of my life, as I become more mature, I'm not getting old, as I mature in age, and I get it and I understand how everything works together, I want to be able to sit here and be the orchestrator of creatives and create beautiful films as a producer and as a
I
director
love
in
it.
some cases. And I'll always continue to edit because I love the cut. I love the edit. I love that room. So yeah.
Well, it has been such a pleasure. I love that you all are, especially Victor, what you were saying, focusing on the BIPOC community, bringing more awareness and to the fact that we are powerful storytellers and we have powerful stories to tell. So I applaud you all for this project. Always, most of the time, I'm really excited to see how it's received at the film festival based on the feedback that you've already shared. I'm sure it's going to be another award-winning project under the belts for all of you. So much success on most of your careers. And before we get out of here, I want one word from each of you that describes the film. So if you're talking, just give your audience one word that describes the film.
Mm. I'm gonna say love. I
Love.
mean, that universe love is thematic through this whole thing.
Okay. Next.
Oh, that's such a good, it's so good. I gotta think of a word. I'm big on words. I gotta pick a good one.
Do, 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 do.
You're muted, Patty.
Yeah.
This is so generic, but due to time, I'm just gonna say an easy word. Okay. Reflective.
Oh, reflective.
Mhm.
Good
That's
one.
a good one. I was gonna say transcending.
Mhm.
Like you don't start in the same place. And by the it you start and end up somewhere different, you know?
Those are three good words. Those are three good words that
Yeah.
really describe the film. So,
Yeah, I agree.
That's wonderful. Give everybody a website where they need to go look for it, where we can find it in the future.
If you go, actually, if you go to qvhmedia.net, all information about it like is on our landing page. It
Okay.
has the festivals that we've been in, the festivals that we're going to, and it will have as we progress through this, where ultimately we'll land. So qvhmedia.net will put you in contact with this film, with me, everybody connected to this film. That'll get you there.
Okay. So can you watch the entire film?
Only in film
No.
festivals right now. Not yet.
Oh,
Only in film.
only
Yeah,
on film festivals.
we're not releasing it to the public. But you can see the trailer and you can see the anatomy of always most of the times on the websites because on our website. So it does
Okay.
take you behind the scenes on the website. But right now, only on festivals. Only if you have the tenant festival to see this, like Peachtree Village, you need to come. If you want to see it in Atlanta, Georgia, you haven't seen it yet, come to Peachtree Village. You'll see it at
Right.
this one.
right.
Always, most of the time, a finalist for the 20th anniversary Peachtree International Film Festival. Don't miss it.